And so he's going to be a seriously incredible specimen when he is 20 years from now. So we hopefully one day see him roaming around. Can't see any notches in his ears that would make it very easy. I suppose he's got a little V on that left ear that's cut out on the top. I suppose we could use that to be able to ID him in the future. It's always nice to kind of look for things in ears, and that's how you do often identify different elephants, is using their notches and their sort of cuts in the ears. Ray, into the wild, since we're on the subject of differences in elephants, you want to know whether there's a difference between these savanna-based elephants as opposed to the forest elephants. So there is. The forest elephants, again, are smaller. A big male forest elephant will be smaller than even some of our really big cows that we see in these herds. And then you'll find that they have a different tusk structure. Their tusks tend to be a lot narrower and thinner, but a lot longer. They tend to have nice long tusks that go straight down, but are very, very thin in comparison to our tusked elephants here. You see most of these bulls, their tusks are quite thick in nature, particularly around the lip area. They get nice and thick there, and those are the kind of the easiest differences to tell. I also find that, obviously it depends on substrate, but the forest elephants always seem to have a much more sort of clay tinge to them, so they've got this sort of reddish tinge as opposed to ours that, well, these elephants tend to have more of a greyish tinge, but that's just substrate more than anything else. It's not something that you can use. But tusks and size are the two biggest distinguishing factors, plus area that you're in. So when you're kind of sitting in the middle of a rainforest, you're not going to get these guys there. It's only going to be those forest elephants. But very cool. These are the last ones bringing up the rear of this herd. We're right at the back. I can hear lots of them all the way up in front of us. So we'll try and kind of keep worming our way through and hopefully eventually get to the front end where we can sit and just watch the whole herd come past. The problem is it's going to start getting very dense on this side of the world. It gets nice and thick. But we've committed so far now. We might as well just follow them all the way through until we pop out on the Firebreak and Gari cut line. Otherwise, it's going to... Right, let's carry on. Now, while I try and figure out how I'm exactly going to get through all of this thick bush, let's go back across to Scotty and, well, the family reunion for Christmas.
Well, interesting discussion there with all the different types of elephant we get to see on the planet. Speaking of which, there were some elephants that actually made their way, well, we could just hear them in the bushes not too far away from the sighting, so who knows, maybe they'll also come onto the scene and join this family Christmas spirit. Now, as you can see, Shadow is kind of sleepy now. There's been a lot less growling and snarling, which means, I guess, she's probably getting a little bit more comfortable with the fact that her sister is nearby, but I'm sure that we are going to see the odd snarl and hiss and growl. We've repositioned in order to try and get you the best spot of Shadow, who's up in the tree when she does snarl. Thandi ended up going deep inside a weeping wattle thicket, so not good visuals of her, so no point in really being next to her at the moment, but she is still behind us. Let me just make sure with my binoculars as you guys take a closer look at the kill. Now, the reason why I do want to make sure that we do keep checking in on Thandi is that if she does decide, oh, there she goes, if she does decide to slink off, it would definitely make sense for me to follow her and then Tristan to come in and take over the sighting, the static sighting of Shadow. Maybe Tristan would then be able to follow Shadow heading off to collect Barbara if she doesn't in fact decide to do that. It'll be a bit of a gamble because she knows that maybe Thandi will come back and try and steal the kill when she's away, but only time will tell. Certainly good prospects though. Now, I haven't had the best look at this little duiker, but I'm not too sure if it's a fully grown duiker. I think it is, judging from what portions of it I can see. It doesn't look like a baby, so decent amounts of meat there. Hi, Nick, are you wondering if this is a territorial dispute or does Thandi merely want some of this kill? Well, I think yes, at the moment it's definitely a food-orientated kind of debate that these two are going through. But it must be said that the reason why they are kind of both bumping into one another more often than they ordinarily would is due to the fact that they are busy renegotiating and taking over their mother's territory. So their mother in all likelihood died a few months ago, and her territory used to occupy this area that we're in now, and now that she's no longer here, her two daughters are filling the void. But it's not an easy kind of agreement as to who gets the land, and they're still busy kind of working out who in fact owns what area. So we're finding that they're overlapping quite a bit. We had a shadow walk basically straight through Thandi's den. We didn't see it, but her tracks indicated that she did, and we found her 100 meters away from the den sites. And now these two are together. The trackers found them together the other day, so lots of action happening. But I think we need to send you back up to the Masai Mara because our cats here seem to be quite sleepy, but you'll be glad to know that Taylor has got some lions and they are on the move. So I wonder what's going on there. Hopefully it will be something exciting. I'm feeling confident it is. Why don't you go and see for yourselves?
We called you back fairly quickly. I'm trying to concentrate because Manu and I were tracking. We turned around, we were going to do the forest route like we said, and we saw this whole pride of lions have been laying down on the ground and all the little cub tracks, and we've just spotted them now as we're approaching the forest. The reason why I called you back so quickly is because they're about to go into very long grass. Sorry, I'm just concentrating, where we're not going to be able to see them. And the three triangle boys, the Chitwa males, are here too. But no cubs just yet. So but they will be here. We've seen older tracks from older cubs, and then we've seen little cub tracks. So I'm sure it's the same pride we saw yesterday morning. Oh, they've got a kill. So we're going to show you that male because he's standing right there. Move out the way, big fella. Okay, well behind him is a kill. There we go. Is that a hippo or a buff? I can't see what that is. The skin looks very pink. I'll be surprised if it could be a young hippo. It's either a hippo or a buffalo. It's just very difficult to tell the way that it is stashed in underneath the trees. But it does look more hippo-like to me. It looks like a bit of a pink tinge on the skin. And now the baboons are alarming. There's even a jackal. Let me just show you what's going on over here. What's going on? There's so many animals. I don't know where to look anymore. There's a quick jackal who's going to run in and start feeding on that carcass. And then we're surrounded by beautiful big male lions, which is really cool. Wow, okay, so our plan this morning to come to the marsh and inspect around the forest clearly has paid off. That's quite nice. Hello, boy. What a beautiful cat. I like these triangle fellows. You know, the Chitwa boys. They are very, very nice looking lions. They're definitely not on the small side of things. They're looking very good, especially when you've got a belly filled of some sort of animal. Let's see what's happening. The baboons are not happy. And now the lionesses are marching off in the complete opposite direction. Manu, I wonder if they didn't stash their cubs somewhere else. Because of the boys. Although I would assume that these would be the fathers of the young cubs for any young lions in here. They are always on the move. They never stop. They've gone right down there. Check out that. See how the girls are on the move very quickly now. And this is what I was trying to avoid. So there they go. But that's fine. As long as we can keep them in sight. And now I don't know where they've stashed the cubs though. Now I'm a bit confused because I thought I'd seen all the footprints coming here. I'm going to actually just represent just slightly, man. I'll just check the road. I'm just quickly having a look on the floor because it's nice and sandy. Lots of hyenas or so. Probably been harassing. No, the young lion cub tracks are here too, so they must be in the forest. There we go. Hello, boys. Oh, beautiful cats, eh? Here's my favorite of the triangle boys. He's known as the tailless, but he's just missing the tip of his tail. But I quite like him. He's a very handsome fellow. Got a nice dark mane. Now, they're not small cats. They are big and bulky. They don't necessarily have the biggest manes, but they're definitely up for it in body size. Now, fella, you're going to go after your girls. You're not going to let them out of your sight. He's got a little bit of a limp. That one male. This is also a lovely looking cat. He's got probably the biggest mane of the lot. A very very white sort of snout, don't you think? It's like he's going grey. He's the silver fox of the cats, and very, very white underneath the eyes. Most lions have that, but that sort of just stands out. Perhaps it's because his face looks like it's a bit wet. So the hair is a little bit darker, so all the light bits are really, really standing out this morning. This is a very, very nice sighting. Our jackal friend is running in because that male lion... Go quickly! Get a mouthful! The male lion is going back. He's running towards the carcass now too. He's going to chase the jackal. Cheeky jackal. Now that's an adult. That's not one of the youngsters that we have been seeing. You missed your opportunity because he walked away from the kill. He's been standing away for it for quite some time now. You should have gone in a bit earlier. And I reckon then that jackal would have been fine. Not that that jackal's going to eat the entire carcass. I mean, it's really not going to put a dent on it. So boys, come on, share with everybody. But the olive baboons are not happy about that. They're very, very angry. I'm deciding what to do now, Manu, because those lionesses are approaching a herd of buffalo, which could be quite cool. Okay, let's have one last look at the males and then we can come back. I'm going to drive a speed race back across to where those lionesses have gone. They're quite far because I don't know. I can see some cub tracks here, but I don't know if it's maybe the older ones, if they maybe just dropped the little ones off somewhere. We'll come back to them. But a big herd of buffalo, ellies, topi. Not that I'm saying that they're going to go and hunt, but they could be chased around, which could be quite entertaining. Hold on, Manu. This is always the hardest because the grass is growing so well over here. You can't see where the holes are. You'll get through here quite quickly. I'm a champion at catching up to animals. If I don't say so myself. You're going to drive past the topi police. You can see it just standing up on the mound. I'm not going to stop for it though. You're wondering if I know who the oldest male lion in the Mara is. No, I have absolutely no idea. I think the musketeers are fairly well aged, but I mean there's older lions like Notch 2. Yeah, I think he's quite old. He's quite old. He's not a young lion, that's for sure. So I'm just focusing here because there's lots of mud wallows. Yeah, they are being buffalo moving in now. So I'm not exactly sure, but you must remember that these cats can even roam into Tanzania, so it's a bit difficult to go who's the one oldest lion. I haven't been in the Mara for long enough, and I haven't seen half of the lions yet, so it's a bit difficult to tell, but definitely the musketeers are some of the older males that we see, but I'm sure there's a few boys that are probably slightly older than what they are. Girls, where are you going now? I don't see. Now this is confusing. If they go back to that forest where those other two lionesses are, I have no idea what pride this is. And I'm pretty sure I don't think it's new lions. I mean, there's of course a possibility they could have come across the river, but with such young cubs, I don't think so, because they were very small. They would have struggled, those little ones, to come across the Mara River. Unless they found a shallow spot, or it's the Angamas / Olololos, or the marsh breakaway lionesses, and these other two lionesses that hang around in the marsh that are just moving in between one another. They're all their territories. I'm pretty sure actually their home ranges all overlap, the three different prides, and it wouldn't surprise me. Oh, those crown cranes are unhappy. Just to the right, it looks like they're moving towards the lions. In fact, there they are. They were leaping out of the ground and making all sorts of noise now. Maybe they haven't seen the cats just yet. So it's a bit confusing. It is very confusing, in fact. But isn't that a lovely scene? It would be nice if that lioness actually charged over towards the crown crane and just caused a bit of a fuss. Let's see if that's going to happen. And perhaps she's a bit too old now. Oh wow, that's the closest I've ever seen big birds like that to lions. Very interesting. They don't seem phased one little bit. Look at that. Now those crown cranes are, of course, they were shouting. Oh, the buffalo chasing them. That's why they're running again. Go, buffalo, go! Oh, no, no, careful! Lions leaping. You got to shout for the herbivores every now and then. They're basically just saying, and stay out, as those lions run away. They're still going. They had to leap over a little lugger too. Yeah, buffalo. We know how you feel. Leave those girls alone, though. They've got young cubs. They didn't take one of your kind. They took a hippo. not hanging around. Look at the stir. Look at the stir that's being caused. Stampede! Buffalo charging, warthogs running, crown cranes flying, Topi probably shouting up from a termite mound. That's so funny. Well, that's how a good animated movie is created, hey Manu? Yeah. After something like that. Very cool. Okay, let's head around again. I know those boys are fascinating, but I'm quite keen to see what goes on here. I really want to see what happens if they join up. We know that those males are not going to go anywhere. They're going to stay around. They're not going to let go of their carcass just yet. I think it's a sub-adult hippo. You might find that it's maybe a young male hippo that's been, he's just getting to that point where he's been pushed out of the river, and he's just unfortunately got a little bit lost. And, well, lost to the lion's den. And anyways, lucky for those big cats. Seeing as though we just watched some lions miss spring. I'm going to race, well, I'm not going to bumble, I'm going to race around to the other side and hopefully see these cats reunite. I'm going to send you to Tristan, who is still sitting with the largest animal on the land. Be safe, Tristan.
I am indeed. They keep moving about a little bit, but this herd is massive. They're everywhere here. The more I drive, the more elephants just start to appear, and it is the same herd that we had a little bit of attitude from this week when we had one of the females come barreling towards us and not very happy, but everybody seems to be fine today. Nobody's in that bad mood anymore. So maybe it was because the herd wasn't together, because that day there wasn't very many of them, but today there is a lot more. So maybe it was just a split in the herd and she was feeling a bit kind of irritable that I was between her and the rest of the herd, which was probably still behind me, or maybe, I don't know, somewhere around that area. Either way, I can't see that particular female now. She's somewhere in and amongst you. I just saw the really old female that we were watching prior to that female charging us, so she's also in this herd just somewhere in front of me here. They kind of stretched out through these little thickets, and we had such a nice little walk by just now. The whole herd came piling past us right in front of the car, kind of just came past and then meandered off and then got into this thicket and started feeding again. So it's difficult to kind of keep up with them and get nice views of them, because you kind of get these open patches that they cross quite quickly and then into the thickets where they're feeding, which is very typical for elephants. The other thing that surprises me with this herd, and it really is a massive size, if you think about it, there's probably easily 40, maybe even 50 elephants inside here, and so you would think that there would be a couple tiny babies, but for some reason there doesn't seem to be any small babies. The smallest one is that one that we've just seen now, and that's already an elephant that's 4 or 5 years old, so I'm surprised that there aren't any smaller individuals, any little one. Alas, it seems as though they are not around. There was one female I saw just now that does look heavily pregnant, so maybe she'll give birth in the thing of animals. And I know that yesterday I believe there was a wildebeest birth somewhere near the dam camp, but it's really good weather for birthing animals. It's cooler, rainy weather. They find for some reason that a lot of the animals do give birth in it. I'm not sure why, it just seems to be the case. Oh, little itchy ear, there we go. and you can see how wrinkly those trunks are. They've all got these little white tip trunks because of the rain, so they've been using their trunks to feed in all this wet vegetation, and so they kind of trunks go white and almost opaque at the tips from being wet all the time. It's like us when we put our hands in water for a long period of time. It's the exact same thing with their trunks, but that's not going to stop them from eating as much as they possibly can. Very cool to be in amongst these ellies. It's, like I say, one of my favorite things to do. I love spending time around elephants and just sitting with them. It's so peaceful and relaxing as you kind of sit and all of these big animals are around you. You just hear them breaking little branches every now and then and kind of walking through, and leaves scraping on their rough skin, and it's just a nice feeling to be in amongst them, and a special feeling given that, you know, they are Africa's largest land animal, and so to be in the company of them and to sit and know that some of these elephants have been moving around for longer than you've been alive is a pretty special feeling and a nice thing to do. And it's always good just to reflect and sit and enjoy those kind of things. So I guess, should we try and just get into a better spot where we can maybe see these guys slightly better than what we've got now, because everybody's disappearing from us. Right, I'm going to try and get us into a situation where we're in front of these ellies and we'll watch them come towards us. So hopefully we'll get a better view shortly. But while I do that, let's go back across to Scotty and see whether the sisters are still arguing or if they've decided to make peace with one another.
Well, they certainly haven't made peace yet, but you can see Thandi's made peace with herself at least, and she seems to be having a snooze with kind of one eye open. She wakes up every now and then and has a bit of a snarl. Nothing nearly as venomous as what we saw when we came onto the scene. I'm quite surprised that Thandi's sticking around here. A term we like to use amongst the Safari Live crew is jerker lurkering, which is often associated to behavior that hyenas or devious species, can even be us, even humans can jerk a lurk from time to time. And Thandi is definitely jerk a lurkering this morning. And I'm surprised that she hasn't just come to terms with the fact that this is her sister's kill, and if she wants a kill for her own, she should go and get it. But she is just lying and waiting patiently, exhibiting hyena-like behavior, which is now preventing Shadow from taking us back to go and collect her young daughter called Not Barbara. And Michael, you ask a good question. You are wondering if it wasn't in fact Shadow's sister on the scene and differ, and I'm inclined to say yes. I'm inclined to say that if it was just a random other leopard and not her sister, she would be probably less tolerant, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just kind of humanizing the scene and the scenario too much and just thinking, well, surely be tolerant. They both need to fend for themselves, fight for their own territory, so I'm not certain that is the case. It's just kind of I've got an inclination to believe that she will be more tolerant, but maybe not. And this is the first scenario in my career where I've had two sisters interacting. I've never, ever seen two leopard sisters in the same place at the same time in a scenario like this. So I've got very little kind of first-hand knowledge, and even if I did, you know, two sisters' relationships, you know, Thandi and Shadow will be completely different to other leopards' relationships with other siblings, and it's just the same as us as humans. Some siblings get along, some don't, and there's all manner of variables and possibilities in terms of relationships, even though, yes, of course, as a general trend, leopards are solitary, and once they do become adults, they are not going to take huge notice of the fact that they are competing with a sibling or not. It's merely a rival once they become adults. Hence the lack of sharing here. And imagine if we had some footage of these two sisters playing with one another when they were little cubs growing up, and now 11 years later, here they are, hissing and snarling at one another. Interestingly, Thandi wasn't doing any snarling. She was just kind of rolling around in the grass and not too fussed, but of course Thandi had nothing to lose, and Shadow did, hence Shadow being the one hissing and spitting and snarling. Very good. Well, I know you guys had an incredible sighting of lions and buffalo and topi and warthog, and nothing better than seeing lions getting chased by a buffalo, so I'm glad you got to see that, and I hope that Taylor's lions are still up and on the move. Why don't you go and see?
Right, so much is developing here this morning. Just to quickly show you, that's where one of the lionesses that was in the forest that we had initially is. Just to show you how far away. They've moved to the other side. And then these other three girls just chased after warthogs. It happened so quickly though. She's now sitting down. You can see she's panting, a bit out of breath. And then the other girls are coming back towards this area. So now Manu and I are trying to figure out if they've even had a taste of that hippo that the big male lions have killed. And it looked like a fair amount had been eaten off it. So those male lions could have been in this area this entire time. The last time I in fact saw them was around here in the marsh. No, it doesn't look like they've eaten, does it? It looks like maybe a female with one of the young cubs. So they're still very keen, but they were a bit silly because they didn't get close enough to the warthogs. Let me tell you, if we had a lion change out, if we had these three girls when they're sitting in the forest in place of those other two that we were initially watching, they would have caught that warthog 100%. Now, that sounds like a great poem, Elani. You've said, how many pounds of meat does a lion need to eat to be full? So it just depends. Males can eat quite a bit more. They can devour a carcass fairly quickly. So a big male lion can eat up to 15 to 20 kilograms of meat in one sitting. I mean, they properly gorge themselves. The girls, less than half of that. So a fair amount. And when you do have young cubs, it's important. I'm trying to think now. I'm pretty sure this is the marsh breakaways. Just because of the set of cubs, the tracks we saw really small lion cub tracks, and then we saw some older lion cub tracks too. And that would make sense to put the two sets. But now we're going to see if, well, when these two other lionesses, because they're walking straight in their direction, see each other, if they're going to be friends or not. But I can't see those other girls now. They've disappeared to the other side of the forest. I didn't, however, see if either groups of lionesses have originally seen one another. Maybe the other two girls are moving out of the area. But it could be very, very interesting to actually see what goes on here. Now they're going straight there, Manu. I just want to know where those little cubs are. I'm confused. They must be stashed in the forest. All of them. All 7 of them. Just going to have a quick scan with my binoculars again to see if I can see anything. No. She's moved or she's gone flat. But they're going there on the road. It's a pity this is a non-off-roading area. We are very lucky this morning to have this entire sighting to ourselves. We had all the vehicles driving past us earlier, stopping, just looking briefly at those two lionesses, and then they've all gone somewhere else. So I don't know. We've hit the jackpot this morning. We've had the rhino, we've had the jackal pups. So 2 of my favorite things. My 2 favorite lionesses, and now the mystery 3, who I'm feeling more and more confident in saying that these are the 3 marsh breakaway lionesses. Okay, let's catch up to them because they are moving away. They're on the road though, so that's good. What we will have to do, however, which I'm not looking forward to, depending where these girls go, if they cut through the forest, we're going to have to race to get to the other side. Now Mariah, you're wondering if, not Mariah, just Raya, if lions will kill jackals when they steal their kills. I have seen lions killing, not sorry, I haven't seen it. Well, there's one sighting that had done many years ago. A male lion grabbed a jackal but let it go. The jackal, I'm pretty sure, was just playing dead because it got up and ran away. So they will. You know what lions kill more of is probably hyena, because they seem to be more of a pest and could actually eat quite a large quantity of the carcass. So they're more of a threat to a pride and more of a nuisance. Whereas a jackal, yeah, they yak away and they bite your ankles, which can be a little bit annoying. They're like the Jack Russells of the bush. We just saw with one getting chased now. But, I mean, typically they're not too much of a bother like a hyena would be to a lion. Those other girls have gone. Okay, right, let's do what we said we're going to do. We're going to quickly race. Those girls are now taking a shortcut through the forest. I want to get onto the other side. The reason why, I can't see them. Okay. Woo, everyone hold on. Sorry everyone, we're still going the speed limit. It's just that when I pick up the pace, it looks like I'm going so quickly, but I'm not. I don't even think I could get to 30 kilometers on these roads. They're so bad at the moment. Okay, we're in a gap. We just got to shoot across here. I'm going to concentrate. And just also keep checking because those cats could have moved. They could have come this way. I don't think they would have gone far unless they did spot those lionesses, and it's not going to be a friendly encounter. It'll be one of the first. I don't think I've ever seen two prides of lioness fighting before we got them. Oh, there they are. Never seen two different groups of lions fighting before. Males I have, not with the girls, so they're up there. So this could be very exciting. I'm going to just get us into it. We've got one girl here, one girl over there. I'm going to do a quick turnaround, Manu. So we can see those other lionesses. It's got the tip of her tail missing. Was that the lioness, my two favorite girls that live in the marsh, or are you talking about the lioness from the marsh breakaways? Okay, these cats don't know what's going on. My two favorite lioness have no idea that these three girls are approaching them at the moment. I think we should do an action broadcast. Let's see. Oh, what's going on? Oh, okay, yes, let's go live. Let's go live. No, we need to go live. We're going to do an action broadcast, everybody. I'm going to sit quiet. They're stalking warthogs. Good afternoon, good morning everybody. You've just joined us live in the Masai Mara National Reserve, where three lionesses have literally just caught a warthog, and now there's a fourth lioness running in. We're not sure if this lioness is part of the same pride. I don't think it is, so it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens here. For those of you who have just jumped on board the largest safari vehicle, you can send us some comments, some questions. All you have to do is commenting away. So clearly, this other lioness and her partner, who has not even realized that they've taken down a warthog at the moment, and they all know each other. I was really looking forward to this because I wasn't sure if we were going to see two different prides of lions and the lionesses actually battling it out, having a territorial dispute, but that does not seem to be the case at all. So they must know each other. Maybe they came from a pride at one point a few years ago, and they passed by each other. I do feel sorry though, because there's one lioness off into the distance that hasn't even realized what's gone on. This is so exciting. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera bringing you this amazing footage is Manu. And this is live, this is interactive, this is happening right now in the Masai Mara in Kenya. There's the other girl who's completely oblivious. to what's going on, and that she's missing out on a meal. And there is another vehicle that you would have seen. Obviously, lots of people can come on a safari in these areas, and they'll be very excited to know they just need to put foot. Manu, I'm going to reposition again, just get a better angle. We have had such an exciting morning. It has been incredible. We've seen these lions chasing warthogs around the whole time, and they just keep missing. But finally, they've managed to get something. I just hope this girl looks back and sees the commotion. We also had 3 big male lions who had killed a warthog, and that's where these 3 lionesses that actually did the hard work and captured the warthog had come from. They unfortunately weren't allowed, by the looks of it, to have any of that carcass. The males were keeping them at bay, and they do have young cubs. We saw their 3 little cubs that are maybe just 3 months old with them yesterday, and we saw all their tracks on the dusty roads this morning. That is so exciting. That happened so quickly. So quickly. But they are devouring that carcass now. RJ, you say they got the bacon? They did indeed. Cooked to perfection in the ways that a lion would like to eat something. I can't believe that. Wow, their efforts have paid off this morning. They were using interesting techniques with these warthog. They weren't really stalking them and trying to get as close as they normally would. They were actually just flushing them out. I think warthog were a bit flustered and were trying to make their way back around to their original grazing spot, and they made a wrong turn, I'm afraid, and they ran straight towards the lionesses. As soon as those lionesses saw them, they just sat down in the grass and let their prey come to them. And since being in the Mara, I've seen incredible hunting strategies used by the lions here, definitely a lot different to those that I've seen down in the Sabi sand of South Africa. So it's amazing how these animals are able to in the forests, hunting even in the marsh where there's lots and lots of waterlogged areas. It's pretty spectacular how nature can adapt. Brandon, you're wondering if it's enough food for all of them? Just. I wish this, like I said, I wish this 5th lioness that's behind us, because there's actually 5 lionesses within the area, would come charging in to get a mouthful, because they're going to finish that very quickly. The 3 girls that weren't allowed any of the hippo carcass, which was down on the edge of the forest with the 3 Chitwa timber males, they looked very, very hungry. Like I said, there's 2 sets of females in there that have got cubs. So it is important that they eat as much as they can and as regularly as they can, because they're not just feeding themselves. They still need to produce milk for their youngsters. And you can see that they've basically almost finished that warthog. Now, it looked like a female. It didn't look like a big boar. And she wasn't massive, so I would say she probably weighed between about 40 and 50 kilograms. And these girls will quite easily eat that. It'll be a good meal for them, though. You can see they are not wasting any time. They're devouring as much of it as they can, as quickly as they can, too. How disappointing for the other lioness. She's going to come back and give up. I don't think you're going to be able to see them, unfortunately. It's a little bit out of view. We'll see if we can turn it. There we go. It's just the car roof. No, unfortunately. She's just in an awkward spot. Sorry, it's the way she's positioned herself to try and get a decent view here. It's virtually impossible to get a view of the other lioness. She's going to be horribly disappointed. And she's been working really, really hard well, she's still sitting out there actually waiting for somebody to come around, and so that she can catch something. If she does do that, hopefully she's able to eat most of the carcass herself, as well the rest of these lions are almost through that entire thing. I'm happy for the girls, though. It must be very frustrating to go over and to try and get something to feed upon, like a hippo that's already there, and there's plenty of meat for 7 lions, more than enough, and to be chased away. They just got turned around and sent home empty-handed. But now they are not empty-handed anymore. Come on, girl, yes, look back. I'm just watching this other lioness as these other girls devour their meal. I think she's going to realize what's going on, and hopefully she'll come charging in this direction. No, she's just looked back the other way. Ellen, you said that these girls really do look hungry. Yes, most certainly. Like I said, they've obviously been in search of a meal for quite some time. Fortunately, most of you that do watch Safari Live will know that lions are not necessarily the most successful hunters. And I've seen 4 attempts this morning in probably about 30 minutes or so of lions missing warthogs that ran right up towards them. Now you can see they're squabbling, because there isn't much left and they're all trying to get as much as they can. So they will fight amongst a carcass if there isn't a lot of food around. That could... Here we go. Here's this other girl coming to charging in now. She's heard the growls. So we couldn't hear it because it's very far away from us and we can't off-road here, I'm afraid. But she has. It was enough to finally get their attention. Come on, girl. Trying to get in there. She's not going to have much, unfortunately. And you're just going to run behind one of the other vehicles so you can also see how relaxed they are. Not perturbed at all. There she goes. Come on, girl, get into a canter. She's doing a bit of a trot at the moment, so she's obviously not starving. Now there could be a bit of aggression, but I don't think we're going to hear the roars, unfortunately, and the growls. It's just too far away. But I am very happy that she's finally made her way back towards the other lioness. That's a long run. She's going to be tired after that. There we go. Tucking straight in. To keep things going. Oh, this is exciting. And that's what I absolutely love about coming out on safari every single day. Being able to watch amazing things like this. We've had some quiet drives over the last few days, but definitely it has all paid off. Now you can see they're talking, they're not talking, sorry, there's lots of vehicles now coming around us. They're trying to tear off any bits that they can, whatever's left of that carcass, because now it's going to get quite aggressive. You can see them playing tug of war, and they'll tear a chunk off as much as they can and then run and go and feed on it in peace. Look how strong they are. Look at all those muscles clenched. Rosina, you said that she came to the pig roast too late. I think she's going to hold on though. I think she's going to have a bit of fight in her. I don't think she's going to give up just yet. You can see them all those girls there, not wanting to let go. Eventually that carcass is going to give way. Now you might be able to hear some voices. Like I said, there are lots of people on safari and they've just realized what is going on now. We're very lucky to have watched the entire thing unfold, right in front of our eyes. You can just hear them growling. Kelly, you're wondering how old are the lionesses? Unfortunately, I was not here during their birth, so it's very difficult to tell. I'm also not exactly sure which prides we're looking at. It's been quite interesting over the last 2 days with all the lionesses that we thought were separate now joining up. But they're all mature adults, so it's very difficult to say. They'll be older than 3 years and up of varying ages. It's a pity that we weren't closer because the sounds would be spectacular around there. That was incredible. Wow, these are the days we live for. Now, of course, it was very, very sad that that warthog got taken, but very lucky in the warthog's case that there were so many lions. They are such tough creatures, these wild pigs, and they've got exceptionally tough skin, and they're fighters. I mean, I've watched some manage to escape the claws of leopards and end up chasing them around. They chase cheetah on a regular basis and do the same occasionally to lions, and it's always better when there's more predators around, because the death is a lot quicker and a lot painless. In comparison, if there was just maybe one lioness, you would have to suffocate the animal, which could take quite some time and is not necessarily the nicest thing to hear, a warthog squealing. But there was none of that. So it all happened very quickly. I think that warthog didn't even realize what had happened before 4 lionesses were upon it. That was amazing. And now we know that these lionesses are going to be able to produce enough milk for their youngsters. Rosina, you said it's a tough warthog. It hasn't ripped apart. They're basically down to its skeleton now. So there's going to be tendons that will be attached to the bone, so that could make it a bit more tough. And we found that the skin is still attached to some parts as well. It'll eventually give way, though. Like I said, they'll tear it apart, and they'll get their little pieces, their little morsels that they will nibble on. And once it's done, and that's it. I do know, though, that the older set of cub tracks that I did see, they would have loved to have been here, but it's kind of good that they aren't. Look at the buffalo now streaming in on the right hand side. Huge herd of African buffalo. I think they maybe heard the distress call of the warthogs, or of the warthog. There was one squeal, and often elephants and buffalo will come in and investigate and chase lions away. This happens more often than we think, and it seems as though they're coming in. The cows are not tolerating the lions this morning. They have been causing havoc. They've been running around chasing the water. Here they come, charging in now. So how is this? The tables are turning this morning. I think one lioness has realized what's going on. Now those girls are going to start growling because they don't want to have to leave their kill. You can see them. One girl's only paying attention. Careful, ladies. I don't think they've all realized that there's a big herd of buffalo coming in. Now, unfortunately, that's not going to save the warthog's life. It is already dead. But it is going to send the lions with their tails between their legs. So many times a year will Cape buffalo or African buffalo kill lions. So it's not always that the predators are the top dogs out here. In this case, the buffalo are definitely coming out on top this morning. What an unbelievable day it's been. I cannot believe it. Again, this is live. This is happening right now. And I'm so happy that all of you that have jumped on board have managed to watch this whole thing unfold. Here we go. Those two girls here we go. See them? They're very angry now. The buffalo, very unhappy. Yeah. Jumping over the logs. Yeah, be careful, girls. Those horns are sharp. And those buffalo, those cows will weigh about 600 kilograms, and the big bulls, which there were a couple of every now and then, I saw them in between the herd, will weigh just under a ton. And even just being trampled by a buffalo could cause some serious injury, if not death, to these lionesses. So they need to be careful, but they also don't want to give up their kill. And I think that's the lioness that maybe didn't get the big enough meal. Kaylin, you're wondering if the lions will go after the buffaloes? Naturally they do. Of course, with lions living in big prides, a buffalo would be an ideal meal when you've got 13 cubs. When you see the Angama pride, which is a massive pride within this area, they need to take down something like that. Otherwise, these poor females will have to hunt every second day. However, because the buffalo are such big, strong, determined creatures, as we're witnessing right now, it is very difficult. There's a big bull charging in. Very, very difficult for lions to kill buffalo. And like I said, out here, it wouldn't surprise me if the statistics were a little bit higher, where buffalo are taking on and injuring more lions than the other way around. I've only seen a handful of lions feeding on buffalo out here. They're much bigger and stronger because of the food availability all year round in comparison to South African buffalo. We see a lot of buffalo in South Africa being taken down, particularly in the winter months, but that's because there's just no food about. So even when winter is here in the Mara, it's still fairly green and there's at least foliage on the trees and grass on the ground. It becomes completely bare in the Sabi sand in South Africa, and these animals become weak and then form the perfect prey for lions. That is incredible. I cannot believe that that is all happened this morning. The buffalo have now successfully chased the lions off into the coast. We can't even see them anymore. Well done, buffalo. You managed to protect your species today. You just came in a bit late for that warthog, but good attempt. And luckily for the lions, everybody came out a winner this morning, in my opinion. I hope that you enjoyed that just as much as, well, myself and Manu did. That was absolutely spectacular. And you can join us every single day for safaris on Safari Live. But who knows what else could develop this morning. It was just a small snack for those lions. Perhaps they go after something else. So keep an eye out for those live notifications. And hopefully Manu and I will be with you soon. Until next time, though, enjoy the buffalo. Oh, hello everybody, I'll be with you in 2 seconds. Whew, I'm just catching my breath there. That was incredible, wasn't it? Didn't you all enjoy that? I can't believe how quickly it happened. I knew something was up this morning. I knew we were going to be lucky. We've been trying so hard for the last couple of days, and mornings just very, very quiet. And then you have a day like this, and then you remember why you come out at 365 days a year, and you might not see anything spectacular every one of those days, but you know, just a couple of times a week, even just a few times a month is enough for me. That was very cool. That was so exciting. Let's go see where those lions are. I don't know where they've gone now. Oh my goodness. Hey, that was spectacular. We are so lucky to have experienced that. Everyone kept trying to stop past me and talk to me though while we're doing that action broadcast. It was a bit difficult, and I'm just waving, going, I'm so sorry, I can't. And then I started saying the words that I wanted to say. Let's see where these girls are. Maybe we can still see them this side. But if not, then we will maybe go around to those males again. I don't think anyone has even realized that there's male lions on a hippo kill. We'll see how that goes. So I'm just going to carry on going around now. And sorry, I'm live. Everyone keeps trying to talk to me and I can't talk to them. So yeah, so I don't know where these girls have gone. I don't know if it's somebody important either. But anyways, he's got Ascaris and things in the car, and he keeps waving me down, and there's very dislike condition. Some of us have got to do some work. Okay, well, we'll keep scanning around and see if we can maybe find these lions and if they're somewhere around here. Otherwise...
This morning, hopefully she doesn't loop herself and end up tumbling into the mud again. So we're still with our Ellie herd, and we have had the most magic time with them. At one point we had elephants absolutely everywhere around us, and we kind of just got amalgamated into the grouping. It was quite phenomenal. We had all these young ones that were kind of sniffing at the front of the car, and everybody was having a bit of a game, and they were pushing each other around. It was such a magical thing to be a part of. And now they just kind of have drifted past us a little bit. Unfortunately, they've kind of gotten onto the left side. Now that female there is very close and is, sorry, a young male that you're looking at the moment. I was looking at a female, but the young male is very close. He's now just drifting off a little bit, but the rest of them have all been right around us. And now it's difficult because there's a bit of vegetation here, but I'm going to try and see if I can back up a little bit. I don't know if we've got a gap there behind us. Ferg, are there any elephants behind us? I can't see nicely. No Ellie's behind us. Excellent. Now this herd is really interesting because there's two individuals. Their ears are very different to other elephants out here. There's one that is pretty much missing the entire left ear. So it's pretty much just a small little piece like this with a little kind of scarring on the top. And then there's another one that almost looks as though its ear is droopy. I don't know how to explain it, but we're going to try and catch up with them so that I can show you what I'm talking about, because both of them are fairly unique elephants and ones that we'll easily be able to recognize. It's amazing how many ellies we've got in this area that have these kind of unique things. So we've got Fang with this unique tusk. Now we've got these two with unique ears. There's the one with it almost looks like got two tusks, or the tusk that's split underneath. That's mini Fang, I think is what everyone's calling it now. So there's a whole bunch of very interesting ellies in this area. Now this one's already starting its nonsense, a young bull elephant. So this is the one that I was talking about. Now you see, it's difficult to kind of explain, but this right ear that's on, I don't know if the pole's going to be in your way. No, the pole will be fine, thanks Ferg. So you see the right ear, it doesn't go up towards the shoulder, it comes down towards this sort of tummy area. It's got this kind of whole top section is almost missing. So how that's happened, I'm not quite sure. You see how it's just drooping down a little bit? If you look at the ear on the back side, you'll see that it's okay, but it's actually folded over, so the cartilage inside there must have broken a little bit, and that's why it's got an ear that looks very much like an Indian elephant. So if you ever wanted to know what Indian elephant ears look like, that's very similar. It has a similar shape to that, and also similar size on the actual head as you see there. So that's quite a cool comparison, actually. We've got an Asian elephant in Africa, by the looks of things. Shame. Now, it won't affect her too much. She'll be absolutely fine. The one that's missing the whole ear will affect her quite badly. It's not very comfortable for her when it's 400-degree heat out here like we get sometimes. So I'm sure she suffers a little bit with that. She'll only have the one ear to help cool her down, not both. Now I'm going to just try and slide through here. This roof makes life very difficult, and I've got a young boy that is followed us around and is interested in having a game and keeps kind of chasing towards the vehicle and trying to assert himself. Of cheekiest group the whole time. He's pushed a couple of the others away as well, and so he's been an entertaining character, which is this one over here that's busy moving away from us at the moment. But let's get round. I don't know where the one with no ears disappeared to. They're so stretched out that you kind of got to worm your way through them to try and find the individual. She was right in front of us for a long period of time, so I'll try and see if I can find her again. But at least they've come out into a bit more of an open area. Hello girl, sorry. I know, brakes are very squeaky, I'm sorry. So at least we've now come out, it's a bit more open. Hopefully the whole herd will kind of shift through this open section, but I doubt that we'll see them sort of standing around. They might just feed and then move through the clearing quite quickly, because they're not really looking for food in the clearings. They're eating all these bush willows that have got nice new leaves on them. But very cool to see, and they're such a gentle herd as well. Interestingly enough, it seems as though that the herd, that the very skinny old female, she seems to be that herd seems to have disappeared from this grouping. So this seems to be another group that's off going more towards the east. That group seem to go to the northwest. I'm sure they'll join up again at some point. I don't think they've kind of broken up too much. It's just in this feeding behavior, everybody's just sort of bombshelled out, and that's why we've got a situation where we're kind of missing little groups of them. They all kind of do their own thing as in family units. But you can see lots of them going down the hill towards sort of Gari cut line. There's lots and lots of ellies all through the background. No. Now, apparently I am not getting any comms. So there we go. Try again, Nikki. Let's hear. Maybe we'll get comms this time. Oh, hello. There we go. Morning. So there we go. Right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to meander our way out now. I think it's time to probably leave this herd, and Gari cut line is nice and close. You can see it's just dropping down. So I'm going to leave and probably start heading back, but while I do that, let's go back across to Scotty D for one last look at the two beautiful leopards that he's got with him.
Well, you wouldn't believe it, but Thandi has now decided to start sneaking up on Shadow. Shadow's fast asleep and tricky to know what to do now. I'm almost tempted to try and get behind Thandi so we can get two shots of everything happening. Here we go. Here's Shadow. Shadow spotted her now. I cannot believe this. So Thandi's now stopped and she's scent marking. And she's approaching even closer. Let's have a quick look at Thandi now. Sorry, we're going to have to whip the camera around, guys, to show you everything that's happening at high speed. Senzo's also having to compensate the lighting. I cannot believe this. This is absolutely incredible. More scent marking, as you can see. And Shadow's clearly expressing her displeasure as her sister approaches closer and closer. She stood up a little bit. Now Thandi's laid down and kind of rolling around innocently, trying to make herself look as peaceful and unintimidating as possible. Maybe trying to say, remember me, I'm your sister, we used to be besties. Let me have some of your kill. What a fascinating scene. Nix, if you are ready, I'm ready to go live on Facebook. This is very, very cool and a very unique sighting that I think we definitely need to share with people. I'm going to keep quiet just before we go live on Facebook. Hello everyone, welcome to this action broadcast. We are coming to you live from the Sabi Sands in South Africa, and as you can see, this leopard in the tree is hissing and snarling, and she's very, very frustrated because her sister has snuck onto the scene, and her sister's just in front of us. I need to move the vehicle. Let me just reposition quickly. My name's Scott. I'm teamed up with Senzo on camera, and this is an incredible, incredible sighting that we are very, very fortunate to be witnessing. These two leopards are 11 years old. They were born in the same litter, and at the moment they're busy taking over their mother's territory. Their mother has died recently, which has opened up this massive territory for them to now move into. Now, what that means is that they're bumping into one another more often than they ordinarily would, and they are certainly not good friends, at least definitely not at the moment. And it's not uncommon for leopards, who are solitary animals, to really not take any heed of the fact that it is a sibling. They don't share once they've grown up. Now, this is Thandi on the ground. She's just given birth to a very young cub, and her sister is up in the tree there, Shadow. See, there's a small kill that actually Shadow's lying on top of at the moment. As she hisses and spits and snarls, there you can see the legs of a grey duiker, which I presume she killed in the early hours of the morning. And duiker very often squeal when they are caught and killed, therefore possibly alerting Thandi, the sister, to the fact that there was a kill in this area. Oh, she's not happy, and this is definitely the closest that we have seen these leopards together since we arrived on the scene this morning. Now, Thandi was scent marking in this area a little bit earlier, right in front of Shadow the leopard up the tree, and that's clearly kind of a display to say, look, you know, we're kind of fighting over this territory still. And Shamsung, you're kind of wondering if she was doing that on purpose. Yes, she definitely was. Now Thandi slowly sneaking off. You can see there's another vehicle of tourists that are also enjoying this sighting with us. And I cannot stress how incredibly privileged we are to be witnessing a scene like this. It's hugely uncommon to see leopards interact like this, especially the fact that we know it's two sisters. Here we go, you can see Thandi scent marking. Now Megan does, and Shadow's got the kill. She's got everything at stake here. Thandi is kind of lurking around like a hyena. So fascinating scenes, and who knows how this is going to unfold. I'm quite surprised that Thandi hasn't left a little bit earlier and realized that her sister's not going to give in to her ways. Marani, you've mentioned that Thandi is being very submissive. Yes, she is. She's not growling or hissing back at her sister. She was rolling around earlier innocently like a little cub.
Even now, she's kind of trying to make herself look as innocent as possible. But you're not, Thandi. You're being sneaky, and you're lurking about. You're trying to steal your sister's hard-won meal, and that is unacceptable. So go and try and catch a meal of your own, and once you've done that, then you can take us back to your tiny little cub. There's another scent mark. Now, this leopard that we're looking at now has got a tiny, probably 6-week-old cub. We've seen it only a handful of times. And I wish she would take us back to her, or him, little cub, rather than lurking around here. Oh, interesting, we've got some elephants coming in onto the scene, and I think they've caught wind of the leopards and the kill. Let's take a look at the one. There is a vehicle in the way, but it is going to pop out into a good view and probably continue straight up to this tree that the leopard's in. Can you believe it? Now it's probably going to start holding up its trunk soon, trying to smell and get a better idea of where exactly the kill is. It's just above them now. How awesome is this? Leopard and elephant in the same shot. Literally, that elephant walked almost just about underneath the leopard, but didn't lift up its trunk as I expected it to. Now it is. Now it's getting the sense of a leopard. You can see it's holding its tail up. That's a very good sign of an elephant that's in a bit of a distress. There's the leopard in the background there. What an incredible scene. Sorry about the pole that's blocking a little bit of the leopard space. It was a very rainy morning here, so we did have our rain covers on. Thankfully it stopped. What a scene. He may chase the leopard. I'm just going to reposition the vehicle ever so slightly just to get us a good view of that leopard lying down on the log. We're going to get some beautiful views of it. What an absolutely incredible scene. Look at that. Whew. Hello, Hannah. You're wondering if we are close to this leopard's den where she's stashing her tiny little cub. And, well, the last den sites that we knew of, we think she's changed, is certainly not close to us. It's probably a mile away from here. So I don't think her little cub is in any harm. So everything is okay for now. Where Shadow's young daughters, we also have no idea. So both of their children's are unaccounted for at the moment. And Valerie, I know you were wondering where Shadow's cub was, so no, we've got no idea where either of them are. And let's take another look at Shadow. I don't think we're going to get the best view of her now. She's keeping a close eye on Thandi, which means we are not in the best spot. But what we can do is we can just reposition again, because she is going to keep her head on that side of the branch in order to keep an eye on her sister. Can you believe this is all happening live? It's so wonderful to have you guys with us. And it looks like Thandi's on the move again, so I'm not sure how well our repositioning plan is going to work, but let's keep trying. Now, Ellen, you are wondering if these two sisters would fight to the death over a kill. I highly doubt it, and I don't think any leopards would get to that stage of the game. Maybe male leopards fighting over a territory, but two females to fight to the death over a kill is unlikely, in my opinion. Animals, unlike us humans, tend to avoid fighting, and they will hiss and growl and snarl at one another a lot. They'll try and have a adult-like debate or argument, a vocal argument, as opposed to a physical fight. And I think us as humans are far more prone to violence than wild animals as a general rule. You actually very seldomly get to see wild animals fighting. Now we might be able to snipe a bit of a two-shot here. We may have to reposition every now and then, but this should work out quite well. I'm not sure if we're going to get Shadow up in the tree. Just stay zoomed in on her sense, and let me creep forward a bit and see if it doesn't help. Oh, there's a tree in the way. of the leopard up a tree, but at least we can see the leopard on the ground, and I guess this is the joy of being on live safari. We cannot edit out the little glitches and moments that we would prefer not to show you. You are here with us for every step of the way. Romit, you are wondering how old is this leopard? I need to reposition again. There's a leopard, another elephant, sorry, not a leopard, there's another elephant going under the tree. Romit, these two leopards are both 11 years old. They were born in the same litter, born to a female leopard called Kruger, one that we know very well. Where am I gonna go? Sorry guys, this is just such an incredible scene. Take a look at this. Oh no, this pole. And let me do this again, sorry guys. Sorry Sens. I'm not used to having this pole here. I'm unpracticed, and this is a nice big elephant bull, and he could almost reach this leopard if he wanted to. Dangling up in the tree there. Ah, what an incredible scene. And phew, exciting stuff here, and it's been absolutely wonderful to have you guys along on this live action broadcast. It's all happening here. Two sisters hissing and spitting and snarling, fighting over a kill, some elephants coming in onto the scene. Whew, but I think the action has died down for now. We couldn't resist inviting you guys on to see the action. If you'd like to see what happens later on today with the outcome of these two sisters squabbling over this kill, be sure to join in on wildsafarilive.com, or you can just type Safari Live into YouTube, and that will let you know exactly when we will next be going live for our 2 daily regular safaris. So it's been a great pleasure having you on board. Thanks so much for joining in and sending through all those questions and comments, but we are going to say bye for now. Alright everybody, well, I'm getting hungry. I'm actually starving, to be honest, so I'm going to head back, have some breakfast, and then come out here probably with some of the other crew members to show them this incredible scene. Senzo's got his family here for Christmas, so his little kids are in for a treat. They're going to see their first leopards, and very excited to bring them out here. So I'm going to say goodbye and be sending you back up to the Masai Mara for the last 10 minutes of the safari. It sounds like you guys had an incredible time there with Taylor and those lions. What a morning it has been. Anyway, off you go. We'll see you this afternoon.
How nice that everybody is home for Christmas. Scott, I hope you get your breakfast on time this morning, hopefully. I'm also very hungry. I'm looking forward to my pizza. I hope it's still there. Hopefully no one's eaten it. Well, it wouldn't surprise me if it's gone missing in our camp. But we have a big herd of elephants, and elephants seem to be causing a stir this morning, obviously with the leopards. And then we thought we were going to have lions being chased by them. Can you hear that? That big bull at the back is marching through the herd. He's obviously here for one thing and one thing only. I'm just going to have a quick look just to see if he is in must or not. Now you can see, look at all the youngsters, how excited they are that there's a massive bull. I wonder if he is in must. He's secreting from his temporal glands. I just can't see between his back legs just yet. They're all very excited by him. I suppose it's the same thing as when young lion cubs see a big male lion, how they're sort of so attracted to him, and they're like, ooh, this is nice. They tug on this and play with that. So I think he's come through to just see if there's any girls coming into estrus in this particular breeding herd. So we must just make sure that we're careful here, because this is when you can have things go wrong. But luckily it's nice and open. Now, Michael, you're wondering if younger elephants learn from the older ones, or it's all trial and error. They most certainly exhibit a lot of learned behavior. You'll often see one elephant trying to pull a root out and using a combination of feet and trunk, and then you'll see a little elephant coming over and trying to do exactly the same thing. Less coordinated though, so they do learn a lot. Yeah, there's two big bulls on this herd. Yeah, so Manu, that bull on the left is in heavy must, so we must be careful of him. That big fella there that all the little ones were interested in, he is in full must at the moment. I did just check, he's dribbling quite a bit of urine. So this herd is changing direction and actually moving towards us. Now I'm not going to, even though it is open here, I'm not going to sit with this big bull. If they do come any closer, I'll move away. And the reason why I will move away is because if he gets a bit too boisterous and the herd panics for some reason and they start running in all opposite directions, I don't really want to be in anyone's pathway. And the only time I've ever been charged by a musk bull was because I was waiting for a herd of elephants to come out onto the road. You all know I don't like to off-road for elephants. And when that had happened, we were sitting patiently, we just heard the trees breaking, and my tracker looked at me, and it was this musk bull that we didn't even know was in and amongst the herd, in the thicket. Luckily, we didn't go off-road. He came out, he pushed down, I don't know how many trees to get to us, and then chased us for a while. So that can happen. He's not paying any attention to us at the moment, but he seems to have taken an interest in this elephant here. It looks like a young female. You can see he's almost towering over her. She looks a bit young to be mating just yet. He doesn't look particularly old. I would say, I suppose, no, she's probably about the right age. I'd say she's maybe between 13 and 15 years old, which is definitely possible. You can see he's definitely sort of interested in her. The rest of the herd is all moving away. Must be quite tough for these young females coming into estrus for the first time. Firstly, being harassed quite a bit by the younger bulls within the herd. And then, of course, once a big bull comes through and realizes that she is coming into season, oh, shame. Now, Nanse, you're wondering if an elephant bull will come into must, even if there aren't any cows that are in estrus? Most certainly. So they actually go in search of females in estrus. So if there's nobody in this herd, he will leave them alone once he's satisfied that he's inspected every one of the girls, and he'll move off and find another herd, and he'll test dung and urine along the way that have been deposited by other elephants. So yes, so cows in estrus actually don't really have anything to do with an elephant bull coming into must. So in a situation like this, obviously we're fine, we're safe, the elephants are very calm, but just things can change very quickly. Now, I wouldn't want to be between that elephant, that cow that we were looking at a moment ago, and that elephant bull. I think you get yourself into a bit of a tricky situation, but they're just walking past for now. And if something does go wrong, I could very quickly put my car into, well, my car is in first gear, I've just got to switch it on and drop the clutch, and we'll be okay to get away. Oh, look at that little one. Now, Ermic, you're wondering if elephant bulls are aggressive towards calves that are not theirs. I think it's particularly hard to keep tabs on who's yours and whose isn't when you have breeding herds that move around constantly. And remember, the bulls don't stay within the herd. They just come through when they're big and strong like this fella and mate to the females and they move on. So they don't actually have any parental care duties. So they might never see their calf again, which is, we would think is quite sad, but it's just normal for elephants. So they can be a bit boisterous in this period of their time. They're obviously seriously producing a lot of testosterone, a lot of adrenaline going through their bodies, and with them being boisterous, they sometimes have a little bit of tolerance. And if a little one gets too close, or a buffalo gets too close, or a rhino, they often will take their frustrations out on whatever's closest to them. So they have to be careful. I just heard the buffalo making strange noises, but I think they're just having a squabble in the distance. Very nice. He's actually tolerating us. We're not particularly close. We're probably about 60 or 70 meters away from these elephants now. But I don't want to take any chances, so we'll just sit still for now, just like this, and just watch them move around. I mean, we've seen some much bigger tuskers out here, but he's got a huge body. I think he's still relatively young, I would say. I mean, there's another bull just coming at the back as well. He needs to be a bit careful. He's not in mass, and he definitely won't be the one that the females would prefer to mate with. They'd rather mate. That's just stopping to have a graze at the moment. Very cool. What an exciting morning we've had, don't you all think? Got to see my favorite animals. So they're heading to the marsh now, so this is where we're going to be coming back this afternoon to follow up on those male lions with their hippo kill, to figure out where those lionesses have gone now after being charged by buffalo, and hopefully we'll see where they stashed the young cubs too. So that is the plan for this afternoon. Whether it will all go according to how I've just described it to you, I'm not so sure. We'll have to leave that in nature's hands, I'm afraid. But everyone's, I'm sure, very happy to head to the marsh and cool down, because it's going to be a hot one. And then maybe we'll even get our little elephants chasing the cattle egrets around once they get there. That could most certainly happen this afternoon. Come on, Mum, wait. I haven't finished drinking just yet. Now, Craig, you're wondering at what age do the tusks start to come through on an elephant? Normally around 2 years old or so. However, it depends on genetics again, because if it's an elephant that's not going to have any tusks, then you're never going to see them protruding out of anywhere. And then some might take a little bit longer, but it's normally from about 2 years old that you can just see them peeping through the folds of their skin. I'm just keeping an eye on this big elephant bull because he's now going behind the vehicle where I can't watch him, which makes me nervous. You have to be so respectful of elephants. You have to watch them so carefully too, because anything can happen. Anything, the slightest thing could upset them. And then when you, like I said, when you've got a big musk bull around, you don't really want to be taking too many chances either. But he's fine. He's ignoring us. He's not bothered us at all. He actually hasn't shown that he's acknowledged us once. I don't blame him. You keep interested. Be interested with the girls. You don't have to worry about us. But that's a great cow, don't you think? Great ivory. One tusk. Oh, broken more than half. Older girl. Definitely an older girl, fully grown. She actually looks like there's no, she can't be, because she's got quite a young calf at foot anyway, so I don't know. I don't think that we would see signs of her being pregnant so soon, but she's a bit bulgy, isn't she? Maybe she's just eaten a lot. Or maybe that's not her calf. Maybe someone is just hanging around. Wow, what an exciting adventure we have gone on this morning on the Sunrise Safari. The tables definitely turned quite quickly. It was really nice to see the different interactions from a predator catching prey or missing a few times first, and then another prey species turning around and taking matters into their own hands and keeping the lions in check. But that's the most exciting thing about coming on a safari every single day, is that you get to see all these wonderful things. So please join us again for the Sunset Safari, where all the action will happen again. Until then, we'll see you later.